Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today we're back in the Starmap, taking a special request from BAM Corp to take you to a pretty damn interesting place, Hades. Hades is technically a lawless system, unclaimed by any of the empires, but with 4 planets in orbit around a dwarf F-star. Now, Hades was initially discovered in 2515 by the Mary Crew, which was a freighter, but it didn't technically share the discovery of the system because they were carrying several hundred tons of fusion drives, and they were the stolen variety. And not wanting to draw unnecessary attention to their activities, they kept it their little secret until about 19 years later when the sole survivor of that ship, a guy named Jake Taps, decided that selling the cartography information from the ship was worth the risk to support his drug habit. That was actually purchased by Dynamo Corporation, and they took that information and started the exploration in Hades. Now, unlike most systems that we've talked about, Hades didn't really have any good terraforming candidates, but it still had enough interest based on the fact that also, unlike a lot of other systems, this one had intelligent life at some point in the past. This place becomes a really kind of a haven for college students and archaeologists who really frequently make their way to this system because they want to find out what the hell happened to the Hadesian race that populated the system at some point in the past. One thing is pretty clear though, there was a massive conflict that ended their reign. The most popular opinion at this point is that the Hadesians were at conflict with themselves. All the planets are actually covered in these big craters, most likely from weapons, and cities are left totally abandoned. In addition to that, the scientists coming here to study the system, we also see a large number of Tomb Raiders coming here to try and leave with unique or stolen goods that are worth a lot of money to people back in civilized space. Hades 1 has no atmosphere whatsoever. However, we're not sure if that's the way the planet has always been, or if it ended up being vaporized as part of the war. There are some ruins on this planet that suggest it has been minimally colonized by the Hadesians at some point, but the number of sites is very sparse. Hades 2 does have a bit of an atmosphere to it, but it's not a pleasant place. There's volcanoes that are active, and as a result, there's a lot of ash that's swirling around, really making wearing a respirator mandatory. In fact, the planet is so hostile that you really need to wear a total environmental suit just to be safe. Hades 2 is going to be a really interesting place to go and visit though, especially for those of you that have rovers with your exploration ships, because there's abandoned cities just all over the place, and they're slowly being eroded by the swirling ash and harsh winds. Now, while mining hasn't ever really been authorized here because it's basically a graveyard, not to mention the fact that it has scientific value, but those of you that don't care about those types of things could find really good profit here because there is carium on the planet, which is used by the Xi'an for their armor plating. And being a lawless system, I doubt there's going to be a whole lot of people here to stop you from what you're doing, whatever you want to do. And Hades 3 is much like Hades 2, with lots of cities and craters and devastation, and it also has a toxic atmosphere. Now you can come here, do some exploration, and maybe figure out the real mysteries of the Hadesians, but if you're not prepared, you very likely could die here. Now up in orbit above Hades 3, we have this old Xi'an ship that is really just a derelict at this point. And the ship is just a total pile of scraps, but it serves as almost an orbiting graveyard filled with the bodies of Xi'an, as well as their Osoian captives. And if you're unfamiliar with the Osoians, they're a very primitive, somewhat humanoid race that are pretty far behind us in their development. And while they are an intelligent species, they also happen to be a favorite gourmet food of the Xi'an. Now, this ship was carrying the Osoians back to Xi'an space for slaughter and for the feeding of the Xi'an population, but something happened to this ship where it broke down, and while they were trying to conduct repairs, the Osoians ended up escaping and killing all the Xi'an on board, then the rescue crews who tried to come in and help, and then finally they turned and killed each other. Hades 4 stands as a monument to weapons of mass destruction in a way, as it's currently been split in half. Now, most of the planet is still present, but it's in the process of breaking down into an asteroid field. Now, what weapon was powerful enough to destroy an entire planet, we don't know, but the fact that the Hadesians apparently had this technology is one of the primary reasons we see so many people coming into Hades. They want to find the tech secrets that either get rich by selling that or get powerful by exploiting it. The Hadesian War apparently took place around 300,000 years ago, and based on the remains that we found, they were fairly round creatures with multiple appendages that kind of ranged in number from creature to creature. The common theory at this point, though, is that the Hadesians were at war with each other, but I do think it's a possibility that the lore is going to end up revealing later that they could have been at war with another race from a different system. That's just kind of my speculation, but it could turn out to be true. This system doesn't currently have any refueling locations or ship maintenance spots. You're really kind of on your own, and the population here is really kind of the exception. It's going to be the freighters that are moving through the system as part of trade lanes. And in most situations, people end up avoiding the inner parts of the system altogether. Hades has a total of 3 jump points leading to Nexus, Cathcart, and 1 extremely isolated jump point leading to Nemo. Now there is one other little story, and it was kind of the tale of a guy that was in one of his ships. He was a nav jumper, and he came into Hades, and as he kind of got out of his cockpit and went down to the middle section of his ship, off in the darkness he saw this creature, and he couldn't really confirm what he saw, but he saw something, and it was in the hold of his ship, in the darkness, in the shadows. And it kind of seemed to have like these muscles that were outside of the skin with like these blue veins all over it, and it freaked him out because in the blink of an eye, that thing was gone. He saw it, he knew he saw something, but he didn't know what he saw. And he ended up getting back to his home base and selling the ship because, in his words, it didn't feel like his anymore. So something is happening here in Hades, and I don't know if maybe there's some Hadesians that are left over, or maybe there's that other alien race that I think could potentially be here, or maybe it's all just myth and some dude got scared in space with the space crazies. Who knows? But there appears to be more to the Hades story than we're really getting caught on to. So Hades is obviously a very interesting place, but who's going to end up finding value here? Well, the system is fairly isolated, so those of you looking for a quieter place in outer space may enjoy setting up some form of a base of operations here. With the lawless designation, I think pirates, bandits, illegal miners, tomb raiders, all of those people could potentially get away with their nefarious deeds here without much pressure. I think explorers could really have a blast here, trying to unravel the mysteries of the Hadesians. Escort ships could provide safe passage through the system for a fee, since there's probably going to be people taking advantage of the fact that there's trade lanes and limited protection. And finally, I think for those of you that just want to see unique things in game, this could end up being a very nice touristy destination. Or potentially those of you that are horror fans, there could be very spooky and scary things happening here, and it'd be worthwhile coming to check it out. Or if you want to shoot some unknown alien race, that might be fun too. So there you have it. That's the Hades system and kind of a background of the Hadesian culture. If you have questions about any of this, please let me know. Put them in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. I appreciate you all watching. I'll catch you all later. Take care.